Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Life with Mona. So, today I am super excited because Life with Mona has been picked up by a fully fledged production company, which is going to be partnering with me in producing the rest of this show. What does this mean? It means no more sitting on my couch as I record this, and no more finding random locations for my interviews. We have a set, we have a full crew, these guys have done productions of over 50 million shillings, so they know what they're doing. This is film crew in Africa, and I'm so happy and so humbled that the show is going to get into the next level. So, because of that, I am going to talk about the path to our dreams. And the things that we go through, and usually the things that we don't even see when they're happening, that this is actually something that's going to get me to where I want to go. And I'm going to start way back. So I came from, when I was 11, I joined high school at the age of 11, but not in Kenya. That was in Swaziland. So at the time, my parents were relocating to Kenya. So when I came to Kenya the year after, at the age of 12, they sent me off ahead. I ended up in a different school, which meant I was in a different system because I ended up in an 844 system. I was in Alliance. I ended up in an 844 system. And I came from an international system. So clearly, these two systems were so different that I found it extremely hard to fit in. So from getting A's, full A's in where I was, to arriving at Alliance and getting, I think it was mostly C's and D's in the sciences and the physics and all that stuff and the maths. And then, of course, I got my A's in the arts. But then my mean grade came up to about C or D for 3 years in Alliance. And I was miserable. Not even because of the grades. I didn't care. I honestly looked at the system and I didn't care. I didn't think it was going to add to my life in any way. So I didn't even apply myself. I was just miserable. I wanted out. And my parents were very clear. I wasn't going anywhere. I'm going to stay in the school until I finish. So there's so many different culture shocks. You've gone from eating lasagna for lunch at this international school to you're eating maize and beans. And you guys all know, I'm not dipping on this one school, but we know Kenyan high schools, right? We must have a few weevils in our food. So I'd be sitting there, and the first time I saw bugs in my food, I was like, why isn't anybody else surprised? I mean, there's a few of us who hadn't been to boarding schools who did not understand why there were bugs in the food. And everybody else is just kind of removing, and then you form them around in your car, on your plate, you form them around, and then you continue eating. I was so traumatized. I think for 2 years, I did not eat anything in the cafeteria. I would eat tea. We had morning tea, 11 o'clock tea, 4 o'clock tea, and after prep tea. I survived on that, and then biscuits and bread. And when we were visited, I would spread that food out till it was just about to get moldy and then throw it away. That's what I survived on for 2 years. Until year 3, I think my body was like, chick, we are not 12 years old anymore. We are growing. We need food. So then I started picking out the weevils and eating with everybody else. But it took a long time for me to get there. So I adjusted to the lifestyle, but I didn't ever adjust to the educational system or the fact that I just did not want to be there. I just felt like it was not a system that enhanced the art side of me, apart from the drama club, which was amazing, and the music, which I did, and going out for games like hockey and things like that. That's what I loved about the school. So when it came to fourth form and we were all signing out, I don't know if they still do it now, but back then, I think it was the second term, you had to fill in this form of what you wanted to do, for university. I think that's the university applications. So we'd all do these applications. And we were all brought into the chapel. I think it was the chapel, all the fourth form people. And then we were all kind of told, okay, you need to look at your subjects and look at what you're good at and look at what you enjoy, and then use that to pick the subject that you want to do when you go to university. And people were so engaged. They were asking questions, because they brought all these career advisors. I sat at the back of that chapel and I said nothing. I was looking at this piece of paper and I was like, I'll just tick the easiest thing that I think will make sense to me. Obviously, English, arts, history, geography. I can't even remember the subject that I picked. And then the other thing was, they were telling us, don't pick a subject now. Wait until you go home, because it was just before half term, and discuss it with your parents. And then when you come back, you can be sure that this is the right career for you. Now, my parents were not around. They were in Swaziland. But then I was living with my uncle, he was my guardian. So I didn't see the need. I was like, even if I discuss this thing with him, it won't change. I have no interest here. I honestly have no interest in the subjects. But I went home. So my uncle asked me, so you've looked at the list of the subjects, of the, what's it called? The majors you can do and the things that you can be offered in university. And I said, yes. And he asked me, okay, so what do you want to do? And I explained to him. I still don't remember what it was. I don't know if it was history. I don't know if it was literature. I don't remember what I picked. And then I think he also just saw I was so disinterested. So he asked me, okay, and are you happy with the choice? And I said, yes. And he said, okay. And then, of course, he talked to my cousin as well. And that was more engaging because she wanted to do law because he was a lawyer. And she was really interested. So that was an engaging conversation. And I just sat there listening to them thinking, there is nothing I have seen on this piece of paper that is enticing me to even want to apply myself. Back then, they didn't have a lot of stuff in terms of film. Right now, we have film schools, we have schools for writing, we have acting schools, we have, huge communication-based universities. We didn't really have that then, not the public ones anyway. So, went back to school, handed in my paper, this application form thing, and forgot about it. And then we got our results at the end of fourth form. I think this was 6 months later, probably, they came out. And I got a C plus. And I was really disappointed, I think, because as much as I wasn't interested, I had started to apply myself probably the first term of fourth form. I think I realized, okay, if I fail, there's no way I'm going to go. So I really tried to apply myself. Before that, I think I was hitting a D. I was probably going to get a D before that. But then I applied myself because I thought, okay, fine. Even if I don't want to be here and even if I want to go abroad, I still have to work hard. So I applied myself and I got the C plus. And inside I was crushed. But then everybody who saw my results was so excited for me. Oh, Mona, you've done so well. Well done. Congratulations. Yes, yes, yes. And I kind of picked up that vibe of, yes, I did well. It's a C plus. It could have been a D. It could have been an E. It could have been an F. It's a C plus. Yay, me. Until my brother Tony came home from campus. I think he was in campus. He came home and he asked me so what grade did you get? And I told him I got a C plus. And he took that the transcripts and he looked at them and then I had my smile because, I'd been so used to smiling at everybody because I knew that they would be like, congratulations. So I was like, yay, I got a C plus. And he looked at it and he looked at me and he gave it back to me and he said, Mona, I am so disappointed in you. This is not who you are. And he walked out of the room. And my brother talked slowly. So he would say something like, Mona, this is not who you are. This deep voice. And he walked out of the room. And I stood there, and believe it or not, for the first time since I got that C plus, I was actually happy because somebody had looked at me and seen my true value and seen the results that were showing up and was brave enough to say, you could have done better. And I've never, ever, ever, ever forgotten that statement from Tony. It has pushed me through life to know that there is this person that believed in me. And that is not to say that others didn't. They did. But they had sort of accepted the point that I had fallen to. And Tony was the one person who didn't. And he said, you can do better than this. And so I took that with me. And for the rest of the time, as we were trying to think, okay, fine, what am I going to do? And I knew I wanted to do something with writing. I knew I wanted to do something with film, something with communication. I was very clear on that. And eventually I got, because it was very hard to get into those schools. They were very expensive. Even the ones in the States were very expensive. So eventually I settled for the next thing, which I thought I would be okay with, which was hotel management. And then I applied to a school in the States and I got into that. But then I didn't make something happened anyway. I think I didn't make the payments in time to get to it. So my sisters got me another school, and for this one, I was doing majoring in communications, which was really, 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 really close to what I wanted, and I was so, so happy. And so I went to Florida, and I did a master's in communication and a major in theater and dance. And I could not believe that I was doing this. I was learning. I couldn't believe that I was learning these subjects, and this was school, and I was excelling. I mean, I was at a 4.0 GPA. This is coming from somebody who was getting C plus 4.0 GPA. I mean, that's like the top, and there was a huge, a larger journey from that point on, from the point where my dreams actually started looking like they would become real in doing what I wanted, to where I am today. Part of it was having to leave the States because, once again, I couldn't afford the fees, and I had to go to, I had to go. I went to the UK, and I did a trade. I did a courses. I did courses on screen writing, for script writing. It's writing for television and film. And that is what I came back home to do eventually. So, in this long-winded journey, which probably took like 10 years between when I went to the States to when I came back home, it was, a long-winded journey. No, 5 years. It took like 5, 6 years. I eventually landed on what I wanted to do. It wasn't the smooth journey that I thought it was. It wasn't the easy journey that I thought it would be. But I think there was just this dog-hearted determination to keep pushing me. And somewhere in the back of my head, hearing Tony's telling me, this is not who you are, you're better than this. Every time I tried to settle, whether it was in the States, when I was doing communications, or when it was in the UK, before I finished my course, whatever it was, there was just this thing of do not settle, do not settle. That C plus is not good enough. Yes, you got a C plus and it could have been worse, but it's not the best that you could have done. So do not settle. So that always stayed with me. And again, I'll go back to these journeys because there's many things that happened in those 6, 7 years. There's many things that happened before I got back home. And there's many things that happened between getting back home to finally being, a professional writer, a paid writer. And today, to sitting in front of you today and to talking about this show and life with Mona, and how this show came about. There's a lot of things that happened, but for me, the greatest thing is when you keep track and when you're very clear on what you want and when you're willing to get off the path every now and then without ever knowing that you'll get back onto the path, but trying anyway. I think I know doors eventually happen. And when you get to that point where you want to be, you realize that had it been a direct jump from point A to point B, you wouldn't have the richness that you have. You wouldn't be who you are. Had I left Alliance and gone straight into doing communications where I wanted and gone straight into doing theater and film and gone straight into being a writer without any detours, I don't think I would have as much as I have to share now with my stories, with my writing, in my life. I don't think I would be who I am now. So things are opening up now, and it's such a wonderful feeling. Like getting that phone call today, to be told, yes, we're gonna take this up. Let's partner together. Let's do this Life with Mona. Let's take it and do it and see where we can go. From a company, like I said, that has done productions worth 50 million, and me and my phone and my little camera shooting, in the past few weeks. It's exhilarating, and I'm so humbled. And I just want to say, whatever it is that you're after, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, wherever it is that you're trying to go, let me assure you, number one, it's not going to be easy. It will never be easy. It will never be easy. But it will never be easy so that you can be sure that this is what you want to do. And so that when you get there, you'd hold precious the gift that you have been given because you have worked for it. So my encouragement is keep going. People say this all the time, but trust me. I finished high school in 1993. This is 2018. And I cannot say that I have lived to the full potential of where I can go. I haven't. So I'm not saying keep going because it's something that people throw out there to say keep going. I'm saying this because I have, through some difficult, extremely painful circumstances and situations, and also some happy, glorious ones, I've kept going. And guys, if I can do it, honestly, so can you. So keep going. Keep going, keep going. You'll detour, you'll come back. You'll detour, you'll come back. And you will reach your goal again and again and again. That's what I'm saying today. And once again, thank you so much for being with me for the past shows that we have had with my simple camera. Thank you so much for being with me. And a big thank you to Anderson Melendez for pushing me to do this. And a big thank you to Film Crew in Africa. And I'm looking forward to more, bigger, and better. This is Life with Mona.